festivalcircuit.com and the director of the Houston Comedy Film Festival Summer 2022 coming up next month in August. And we have the director of the Best Comedy Series episode, and that is Mr. Ron Basci. Thank you for joining us.
Great to be here.
Well, excellent work with this film, or I should say series episode. And I am really awful when it comes to giving away the synopsis and the story. So can you please tell us what is this about?
Okay. It's a web series that we call Freddy. This particular episode is The Handyman. And Freddy is a hardworking actor who doesn't get too many jobs. And so he's got to do some odd jobs and whatever kind of pickup work he can get in order to pay his rent. His best friend is Charlene, who's known as Charlie. Now, she was an actress too, his best friend, but she's a little smarter than he is. So she decides to take an internet course. She passes it. Now she's a shrink. So we kind of follow these two. And in this particular episode, he has fixed his sink. So he's all full of himself, and he has now decided he's going to conquer the world in between acting gigs as a handyman.
All right. And what was the inspiration for writing this?
The inspiration was kind of simple. In a previous short film called The First Responder, which was a very heavy film about PTSD and first responders, after it was absolutely completed and we started a festival run, the lead actor and I were chatting away one day, and he said, my day job is going to end soon. I want to do some writing. What should I do? I said, look, why don't you just consider what your life has been, write about what you know. And he was thinking, well, my dad was a cop. Let me do a police drama. I said, why don't you just do a comedy? If you're so down now, you've just been through a drama, lead actor in a very serious play. Let's do a comedy. So the genesis came from the kinds of things that an actor might do in order to pay his rent. And the more we talked about it, the more we kicked it around, we decided it would not be a movie. It would be good to have a series of episodes. We wanted to keep it light and just have it bounce from episode to episode and introduce new characters, all their relationships, and the different jobs that Freddy attempts and usually fails at for whatever circumstance.
All right. Well, what do you have planned for the future? More episodes of this, or
are you absolutely. This one is going around now, as you well know, at the various festivals, and we're getting a very, very positive response for it. Before we even put this one out, we made sure we had 6 scripts locked down, and at that point, 12 more in various stages. So now we have more than that. So we're ready to go with all kinds of relationships and intertwining and different jobs and different romances, if you will, as we go along. And so we're excited about it, and hopefully everybody else is too.
How did you get started in the business? Not necessarily just this particular project, but just in general.
I don't really consider myself in the business, but I have a long history of intersecting with it every now and again. Actually, as a child, I grew up born in Brooklyn and grew up there. And so whenever we'd watch an episode of the Danny Thomas show, which I know was way before your time, or Marlo Thomas or anybody like that, at the end of the show, the credits would come up. And one of the credits there was produced by Sheldon Leonard. And one day in my junior high, Sheldon Leonard, for those who don't know, he was the bartender in It's a Wonderful Life. He was one of the characters in Guys and Dolls, that kind of thing. And very, very well-known and respected producer, director, and sometimes actor. And during my junior high school years, one day, in the backyard, hanging out, and up the alleyway walks Sheldon Leonard and his wife and his young adult son. And he says, I'm going around Brooklyn to show my family where I grew up. And so it wasn't a direct connection, but at something. And he pointed at a window and he said, that was my bedroom. And it was my bedroom too. So I
Oh,
thought, okay,
wow.
there's a connection here. What it is, I don't know. Then in my high school time, I went to a school that you may have heard of, New Utrecht High School. Now, New Utrecht was the supposed location of It Happened in Brooklyn with Frank Sinatra and Jimmy Durante and Peter Lawford and a few others. But more into my time, which is still before your time, it was also the opening shot for Welcome Back, Kotter. So that was the kind of school I was in.
Mm.
Now, I have a little story about that because when I was in that school, that's when I really decided that I really liked writing and I liked satire and comedy. One of my favorite shows was That Was the Week That Was, which was a satirical show, satirical comedy every week. And so I was in this class, which was an English class, and it was also, you learned a little bit about mythology. But the students along with me, we all had a problem because every week we'd get a quiz. And the quiz was marked not so much in if you knew the answers, but you got marked down for every grammatical mistake that you may have made, comma in the wrong place, colon instead of a period, or whatever it might be. So one day our assignment was write a new myth and have it in present day. So that got my creative juices flowing. And I decided that I would write about two maybe Greek gods, like Mercury and somebody else. And they're hanging around and they're really bored. So they're looking in on what's going on in the world. And lo and behold, they find my English class. So they disguise themselves as real people. They show up in class and they're watching the teacher teach us about the different myths. And they're muttering to each other about that's not right. That's not what I did, that kind of thing. And then she springs a grammar quiz on them and they fail. So in that little satirical bit, what I did, being a high school guy, I changed the name of the teacher to a name that rhymed with her name. Well, when I got to the point where they were lamenting the fact that as real gods, they couldn't even pass a test like this, the class erupted in applause and started cheering. The teacher, on the other hand, called me out of the room and threatened me with suspension. So I knew I could be a writer at that point.
Good one. Good story. I mean, that's such a great interview and getting to know you. Congrats on your award finalist, your nomination. We'll see how the win comes out. And, it's a very competitive festival, Houston Comedy Film Festival. So, be proud of your accomplishment. I know you've torn it up on the film festival circuit. You've done so well.
Thank you.
And we sincerely appreciate your work, and we're proud to screen it. You make us look good.
Appreciate you.
No worries. If there's anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
Well, I could tell you more stories if you want to hear them, but but you've got work to do, and I've got a film to promote. So if you want to find out a little more, or if you can't make it to these festivals, which I very strongly urge you to go to, I'd suggest you can look us up on our website, which is very simple, funnyfreddy.com. You could find out a little more about the whole project.
All right. I'll make sure to link it in this video, funnyfreddy.com. Thank you so much.
So much.
Have a good one.
You too.